Welcome to another edition of the USF Football Radio Show. The Bulls are on the road again this weekend, heading to Cincinnati. A lot of talk about that game coming up in the show. We'll also have a visit from Bulls center Brad Cecil, and Coach Alan Mogridge will be with us as well. Right now, we welcome in the head coach, Jeff Scott. And Coach, a difficult week last week, not being able to play the game at Florida Atlantic. I would think a difficult decision not to play, in part because of the strong desire to play, but on another level, an easy decision to make because one of your main objectives stated this year, keep the players safe.
Yeah, it definitely was a difficult week. We knew going into this season that decisions like that may have to be made. Up until this point, whenever we've had some guys that had to be out, they were missing practice in fall camp and those type of things. And now for the first time, we were not able to play a game. And, I really felt for our players because, they were excited and wanted to play. And as coaches, we always want to play after you're coming off a disappointing game the week before. You want to get out there and play and kind of get that taste out of your mouth. But at the end of the day, we have to do just exactly what you said, make sure that we're taking the right precautions to keep all of our players and staff safe. And, we have a great medical staff and medical team of doctors and experts. And, just as our coaches and players are spending a large majority of our time putting together game plans and practicing, that group is really studying everything on the outside. And we obviously had questions, earlier from Friday the week before whenever we heard that FAU was having to cancel their games due to some testing on Friday. But really, I think the turning point was when we received the information from Notre Dame that they had multiple players that had tested positive coming out of that game. And so whenever our medical staff went through the proper contact tracing protocols, we got into a position with a couple positions. And at the end of the day, our medical staff did not feel it was safe and proper for us to continue. And so we, even though we're disappointed, we respect that. And, it's part of the process this year that we learned from. And, the silver lining in all of that is that we were able to, get a little bit of a rest and kind of refocus after two games. Usually you don't get your open week until the middle of the season. And now we were able to kind of take a little time this weekend and catch our breath and kind of reevaluate where we are and refocus and get ready for conference play this week.
Coach, you go into a week, you miss a game, but as everybody on the inside of football knows, this is still not a missed opportunity for you all to grow. What did you do to kind of compensate or simulate the game that you guys would have had this weekend against FAU?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, use this quick break to, like I said, kind of reevaluate, our first two games. And in the first game against the Citadel, we did a lot of things really well for our first game out. And then, the next week at Notre Dame, there was a lot of learning opportunities there. And so, we were limited, a good part of the week last week because of the proper contact tracing and kind of the pause in workout. So it wasn't as much on the field work as it was maybe watching film and meetings and a little bit of walkthrough to try to, correct some of the mistakes. That's what we tell our guys all the time is, hey, we're going to make mistakes. The goal is to learn from those mistakes and make sure we don't make them the following week. And so, if we can, learn from some of the mistakes in the Notre Dame game, I think it'll make us a much stronger and better team moving forward as we start conference play.
We see the testing procedures close up here. I'm not sure that people that are not involved with the program understand how aggressive the testing schedule is. How are the players handling it just for the inconvenience of having to do it so many times?
Yeah, I mean, the testing along with all of the other protocols that they have to follow, that doesn't show up on the scoreboard. And obviously when we get out there and play, we want to win the game. And that's a huge focus for us. But I have been really pleased with the way that our guys have responded during such a difficult time. And we are asking much more of them than we ever had in a normal college football season. From little things like when practice is over, we can only have half the team go in and shower at a time. So, you think about a long 2-hour practice, 2.5-hour practice, and then, you have to wait out there another 45 minutes before you can go in and actually shower. And so just little things like that every single day, really add up. But, our guys have handled themselves very well considering the different challenges. And then just like you said, three days a week we have to get here early, and all the players are getting tested. And we usually get those results back later on that afternoon and make adjustments from there.
Coach, there's so much data and science behind nutrition as it relates to health, not only performance, but health and just maintaining a healthy immune system. I saw some information on Alexa Rodriguez, who's helping you guys from a nutrition standpoint and just kind of consulting and giving the guys the information they need to go out and sustain healthy diets. How important is her role during a time like this?
Yeah, it's critical, and that was probably whenever I got here in January and I found out that we already had hired a director of nutrition that was going to be coming on board soon. I was really fired up about that because I know at the previous school that I'm coming from, that was a game changer for us at Clemson. About 2 or 3 years ago, we added a nutritionist, and it really changed the game for our student athletes and for our football players. Just having someone there to help educate. It's daily education before practice, what you put in your body after practice, making sure you're fueling your body. And then also having one person, just like we have coaches that maybe coordinate the offense or coordinate defense or special teams. She coordinates all of our food and all of our refueling and all these type of things. Whereas maybe in the past it was, maybe a strength coach here and a coach here, director of football ops here, just kind of, but now there's a plan in place, and then just the consistency of that plan. I think we will probably see the biggest benefits from her addition probably, still a year from now, seeing the way that our guys are able to transform their bodies. And but, even during a time like this with COVID, she's been able to help educate our players on the proper things to be sure they're putting in their body and keeping themselves as healthy as possible.
So as we record this show on a Monday, travel day Friday, game Saturday, what is the status of the team? What are you able to do at this point?
Yeah, we're in a much better position today than where we were last week. We still have a few guys like we've had each week that are out and have to go through the proper testing and protocols. And, there's also whenever a young man comes back after being COVID positive, it's not just, the isolation. It's also, after that 14-day period, then they get signed up to go get EKG and get everything checked out and to make sure that we've done a thorough assessment before we put them back out there on the practice field. And so we still have a few guys that are in that position, but overall we're in a better position now than maybe we've been the last few weeks.
Coach, there's a lot of conversation. This game was an important game to so many people, obviously you guys, but it was just a game that was it was a game everybody was paying attention to for so many reasons. Everybody's excited at the thought of rescheduling. How realistic does that look to you guys? I know you spoke about it late last week, but how realistic does it look like?
Yeah, we're very optimistic. I think we want to play, and I believe that they want to play, and so I think both athletic directors have spoken and talked about a few possible dates, and it's just one of those things is we have to wait till it gets a little bit closer and make sure that we haven't had more cancellations of conference games, and same thing for them. And as long as we can get an agreed upon date to be able to play safely, I think we would look forward to that. We want to play as many games as we can, and having one game. Hopefully it's more of a postponement than a cancellation. And so I think there may be a few opportunities to be able to make the game up and potentially in December.
What are the focus points in practice this week? What are you going to try to get ironed out?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for us is we're still learning, right? You know, we obviously, like a lot of people, did not have spring practice, so we're still learning our players. The players are still learning us as coaches, the expectations. They're learning the scheme of what we're trying to do. And, I mean, there's so much stuff that you just have to get out there and do it, right? I mean, we had plenty of meetings over Zoom or Microsoft Teams in the off season, but you know, football is a game that's played on a field, and until you get out there and make mistakes and learn from it, go back and correct it, you know, it's a process, and that's where we are. And my big message to our players is, hey, it really all the focus needs to be on us. I mean, we play a very, very talented Cincinnati team, and had an opportunity to watch them play a really good Army team over the weekend. There's no doubt Cincinnati's very talented, but where we are right now as a team and as a program, we really need to focus on ourselves and how we practice and how we do what we do. And if we can keep that internal focus here moving forward, then, you know, I'm optimistic we'll see positive results.
Coach, I understand that there's some things that you might not be able to speak on, but if there's anything relating to how football is being carried out in the NCAA in today's game, with all the things that we're dealing with, is there anything that you'd like to see change or added to the game or taken away from it?
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on. Even, you know, if you just put COVID to the side, you know, number one, I was really happy and proud of the decision they made to give all the players a free year, because there was a lot of guys that were going to have to make a decision. Do I want to use up a year of eligibility for whatever this year may or may not look like, you know? And then, you know, what I've always been a big proponent of is to give a player 5 years of eligibility. You know, whenever he comes out of high school, hey, you've got 5 years to play 5. Where our current model is players would have 4 years to play 5, and then they can play up to 4 games and still redshirt. You know, I think if they did a poll, I don't think there's any college coach that would oppose letting players have 5 years to play 5. And you think about how many juniors across the country leave early to go to the NFL. And then you have some, you know, fifth-year guys that want to come back and play a 5th year. And so, you know, that's one rule that I would like to see maybe added. And then, you know, I think the one-time transfer rule is getting really close. And, you know, we had 2 young men that transferred, and one was able to get their waiver, and Trey Jacobs, and one unfortunately was not, and T.J. Robinson. And I think there's a lot of discrepancies maybe across the country and who gets waivers and who doesn't. I think it's very difficult for the NCAA office to try to figure that out. So I think we're all probably heading in the right direction to allow these young men an opportunity to have a one-time transfer and not lose a year of eligibility. So those would probably be the 2 biggest things that I would love to see moving forward.
All right, we'll take a timeout. We have football this weekend at Cincinnati, the Bulls and the Bearcats. More on that game when we return on the USF Football Radio Network, presented by Marathon. Welcome back, the USF Football Radio Show. The Bulls are on the road again, this time at Nippert Stadium in Cincinnati. This will be a 3:30 airtime. The TV component will be ESPN+. On the radio side, our coverage will begin on Bulls Unlimited at 1:30 and then move over to the radio side at 2 o'clock. Coach, Bulls fans know the Cincinnati program well. They've been a regular opponent for a lot of time, and you referenced the game against Army, a nice win for them. They're opening up the season with 3 straight home games. They've already got 2 of them in the victory column. Just look like a very solid team up and down the line.
Yeah, they are. And obviously this is the first time I've had an opportunity to really study them, as we have not played them at the former school that I'm coming from. And, yeah, very impressed. I think the thing that stands out to me about their team is their depth at the offensive line and defensive line. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Army. I think that's a really good team, a good program. Army was having a great year going into that game, and just sitting back and watching it on TV, you know, Cincinnati just dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides. And I haven't seen anybody do that to Army in the last couple of years. So, you know, that was very impressive. And then, you know, I also feel like they have some NFL players at some key positions. I feel like their quarterback has an NFL arm and is a potential NFL caliber player, and they have multiple guys at the running back position that are very dangerous at receiver. I think it's probably one of the most complete teams that will play, all year long. And, I think for us, we have to remember kind of where we are and what step we're in with our program and with our team this year. And, we're still trying to figure out some things for us. We're still trying to figure out who our quarterback's going to be, right? That's a big decision and topic and something that we have to kind of work through to be able to get. And then also we have to get some consistency in our passing game and play better on defense. So we have plenty of things for us to focus on. And, you're not going to have success against a talented and experienced Cincinnati team if you have a lot of self-inflicted wounds, right? And whether it's in special teams and snapping and then also, being able to line up correctly on offense and on defense. So, for us, it's really, a big focus on how we do what we do. And, I think the silver lining in being off last week, we were able to kind of get some guys rested up coming off a very physical game at South Bend the week before. And so I'm looking forward to getting out there and seeing how we measure up against one of the best teams in our league.
Coach, last year this game came down to a field goal. There was a lot of good things that happened in this game, specifically for the offense. I thought Jordan McLeod threw the ball really well. What things that happened last year can you guys learn from? I know there are some personnel changes both here and there, but what can you guys learn from and try to bring to the table this weekend against Cincinnati?
Yeah, and obviously a lot of our players were here and a part of that. And so I think from a player perspective, I think you can, learn a lot about how close we were to being able to get that done, which would have been a great win for last year's team. But, from a coaching perspective, each year is so different, right? I mean, there's so many changes, and, it's really there's not a whole lot of stuff that you can take from that from a scheme perspective because of the differences in our coaches and what we're doing, and then also some personnel deals. But I think the big lesson probably for our team from last year is, hey, every play matters, right? And it's easy to point to the 4 missed field goals, but there was other plays in that game as well where we had an opportunity to go ahead and finish the game the right way. And so, hopefully our guys can take some confidence in knowing, even though they're a very talented team, that we've had opportunities before. But I think whenever we kick it off, this Saturday at 3:30, there's not going to be a whole lot of the stuff that happened last year that's going to have an impact on this year's game.
You touched on the quarterback position. How do you envision that rotation going this week?
Yeah, I think that's something that we're working through in practice. And, really kind of what I've told those guys is that, there's really 4 guys in that room right now that are being evaluated every day and every throw, even when we start in special teams and they're over there on the side throwing. I'm myself and Coach Weiss are watching every single throw, and everything matters, right? And I think, ultimately our goal was to use the first 3 non-conference games to be able to get a good evaluation on all 4 of those quarterbacks. And obviously not having that game last week means that this game is going to be another opportunity for some guys to get some game experience and some live reps so that we can kind of evaluate where we are moving forward. So, we'll figure it out as we go through this week who we feel like gives us the best chance to win Saturday at 3:30.
Coach, I want to understand, and I know you're an offensive guy, right? You're a head coach,
That's
but
right.
you're an offensive
That's
guy,
right?
I want to delve into your thought process on the art of tackling. When I played in the NFL, the Seattle Seahawks did it the best. They had this hawk tackling technique that they always taught to their guys. But with you guys not having all the opportunities to necessarily get on the field, what is the defensive mentality as it relates to tackling, actually getting the job done, bringing a defender down, not just making a physical contact, but making a really sound tackle?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And, I think you can look back at maybe the last 10 or 12 years across the country, the emergence of 7-on-7 in the summer, right, which has been great. And it's helped skilled players develop their, offensive throwing and then also defensive DBs and linebackers and safeties to be able to work on covering the passing game. But I think with that, it's there hasn't been as much tackling taking place in the summer or even whenever we have practices, right? Everything, you have to be very careful with how many times you're actually going live and tackling somebody to the ground. So it puts even more emphasis on your individual periods. Most people across the country spend their time tackling a tackling dummy, right? And it's the proper fundamentals and technique. And, for us specifically, where I see that we need to improve is whenever we get in that position to make the tackle, we've truly got to wrap up. And I think, I've seen too many of our guys go in there and just throw a shoulder or throw on trying to take the guy out on his legs just by rolling over, going low on him. And, at the end of the day, you got to wrap up and hold on. I mean, these guys are strong. They got big lower bodies, and, you just bounce off of them. And so for us, the proper technique is to be able to go low and use your shoulder and wrap up with both arms and get the job done, getting the guy down, and not just kind of taking one missile to go low and hope it's enough to get him off his feet.
Awesome.
What punt game adjustments have you made? I know the cupboard was pretty bare on long snappers by the end of the last game.
Yeah, we're hoping to get Bryce Bernard back, one of our long snappers, and hopefully he'll continue to work. And hopefully that was just kind of a one game and one day situation. But we do have some other guys working as emergency long snappers. Obviously losing Andrew Beardall early in fall camp to an ACL really kind of hurt the depth because, typically I think everybody usually has 2 long snappers, 2 kickers, 2 punters. That's about all you need because those guys usually don't get hurt. And but in a year of COVID and then also having one lose, his year to an ACL, it's made the need for a third and fourth long snapper. And so we're working on that. We spent a lot of time on that this past week, and we'll continue that this week.
Now, Cincinnati hasn't lost a home game since 2017. Although they won't have the full home game experience on their side, what type of atmosphere are you guys anticipating to go into this weekend?
Yeah, well, I heard the TV commentators, I was watching the game, talk about how loud they were playing their music. So I made a mental note of that, and I want to be sure to tell our team here from when we come back October 10th. We need to turn ours up too,
right?
If they're going to let us play it loud.
Well, watch out for me and Jim now because we need to hear you guys.
Yeah, so I'm sure. I mean, more than just the music and the atmosphere. I mean, I've been on the other side of this, part of a program that hadn't lost a home game in 3 years. It's just the confidence. I mean, when all you do is win, there's a lot of confidence that you take into that next game because it's how you do what you do. And so, for us, we're going to have to play. We're not going to have to play perfect, but we're going to have to play much improved from the last time that we went out there on the field.
Coach, we're looking forward to it. Have a great trip, and a reminder to everybody that the Bulls are at home finally on October 10th, so we're looking forward to that one too, but have a great game at Cincinnati.
Great. Thank you.
Head coach Jeff Scott, the Bulls and Bearcats at 3:30 Eastern Time this Saturday. ESPN Plus for television. 1:30 is our pregame show on the radio side. Stay with us. Coach Alan Mogridge will be with us. Also center Brad Cecil as we continue along on the USF Football Radio Show presented by Marathon. Welcome back. The Bulls in Cincinnati, 3:30 on Saturday. And don't forget the homecoming game, October 10th, Raymond James Stadium. It'll be the Bulls in East Carolina. Offensive line coach Alan Mogridge joins us now. So, Coach Scott gave us the story of your hiring earlier today. Said that you had to go through the interview with both him and his dad.
Yes, sir.
And that you didn't get very far into the parking lot before your phone rang. Tell us about that.
Well, it's an awesome experience because, Brad Scott, and I know several people at Clemson, and having worked at North Carolina as for the years I did, I remember those guys and getting to sit down and meet them and just kind of talk some ball and the kind of people they are. That's what was awesome, and it was one of those things, because You go, you talk, and then the next thing you know, it clicks, and you know in your gut, this is what it needs to be. This is how it's supposed to be. This is what it's supposed to feel like. And so it's an absolute blessing to be here, and we got kids that are working hard, and but yeah, the hiring process was pretty cool. It was it was funny, because I got to meet him. Obviously, he sat with Coach Scott. We went through the questions, and it was like, well, how do you handle this? Well, that's the same way I handled it. And, well, yeah, well, back in that. And so you find out that how much commonality, I guess, is what it is, and how much you see things the same way. And that's how because when the opportunity came, it was obviously my heart was open to it, and it was something I got excited about. I've been in this state for a long time, and I've competed against this university, and I've seen it from afar, and I've watched it rise. I've seen where it can be. I know what it's capable of. And then when you get to meet Coach Scott and Coach Brad Scott and obviously Jeff Scott, and it's just it was an unbelievable opportunity. And just for my family to be able to come live in the Bay Area and be part of what this is. I have 3 daughters. I have a wife that is very much accustomed to the state of Florida now. She's a Carolina girl, but there's just something about being here. And then, coming to the Bay Area, after taking the job and coming up, and it's just an open arms. And I mean, from the people up in Lutz where we live to right here at this university. I mean, great people, and it's our challenge now. The challenge is on us to plug this thing back up, and get it going. It's been laying in the weeds long enough. I know what we all know what the challenge is, and our young people are starting to understand what the standard is, and that's a big thing with Coach Scott and coming here, and really it's kind of part of life. I mean, we all have a standard, right? Like I'd say it to the kids all the time. When I say the kids, I'm talking about the guys in the room. I call them the kids. I say it all the time. Like, here's what you guys don't get, man. Like, it's hard work to be a good husband. Like, don't you understand? Like, there's a standard with like, we're talking about Tuesday practice right now. But what you got to understand is that Tuesday practice is not much different than making the decision to be a great father, to be a great husband, to hold down a job, all those things. Because, and again, I like to say it all the time. Hey, rent man don't care, man. All he knows is the rent's due. That's all he cares about. The guy that's got your car note, he don't want to hear a story. He wants that cash. That's it. Or else the tow truck shows up and your ride's gone. Now you got bigger problems. You know what I mean? So it is. And I know I said all of that, and all you asked me was, what was the process like when Coach Scott interviewed you?
Okay, Sam, 30 seconds left.
Well, I need to, thank you. You answered all of my questions, and even questions that the unknown unknowns, right?
Yes,
that
sir.
I didn't know I didn't have. So,
Yes, sir.
but I'd also like for you to just tell me, what do you think makes a good offensive lineman? I don't know if that position gets talked about enough.
No.
You talk about the size and speed at receiver, the
Yes, sir.
physicality at linebacker, but what makes a good offensive lineman in today's game?
Well, one of the things that is very, very important, and it gets looked over, like you see, everybody thinks that the linemen have to be big. Yeah, they do. That is one of the things, you have to have a certain size requirement, but there's also, in order to do some of the things that our game asks you to do right now, you have to be able to bend. You have to be able to move. Like I look back on like my ride, my journey, right? When I went to the school I went to, I was a 215-pound wide receiver in high school. I played kind of a stand-up, and I ended my career as a 300, and my wife would tell the truth and say 310. I'd say like 300, but, like a 300-pound O-lineman. And the reality of it is sometimes when you go recruit and you look at players, you kind of got to see all the things. Like you may have a kid, like everybody has a different story when you're getting to that point. You know what I mean? You might have the kid who's 6'4", and he's only about 240, 245, and then you figure out, oh, well, he's free and reduced lunch kid, or he doesn't get to eat a lot. And then you get them in a program and you start feeding them, and the next thing you know, that 40-inch waist starts to fill out, so there's that. So, but outside of that, like the size thing that you have to have, you want to make sure that they can bend on 3 angles. Football's played in the ankles, knees, and hips. And that's something that people miss out on a lot of times, especially in evaluations. When you you got to see them bend and you play in your ankles, your knees, and your hips. Pushers, like guys that play, it's tough. It's tough because D linemen redirect and move almost every play, and you see a lot of different structures. It's really funny. The other night, one of the games that I had the opportunity to play in was on ESPNU. And my buddy and I were texting each other, Brandon Spoon, who played linebacker with me, and we're texting each other, and I'm like, the game has changed so much from formations since 1990, since 1995, 1999, even 2000. Like the size of our shoulder pads. Holy man, that we had these huge, so that all of those things. But from the not things you see, right? Like it's easy to say, oh, the linemen are big, right? They got to be big, right? But what makes a good lineman is the ability to understand your role. As crazy as that sounds. Hey, man, let me sell you something real quick. Let me put on my salesman hat. Hey, here's what I want to do. I want to convince you to come out here on this grass in about 120 degrees with the heat index. I ain't ever going to throw you a ball. I ain't going to hand it to you. You don't get to catch it. But here's what I want you to do. I'm going to put you on this sled, and we're going to run it all up and down the field. And then, hey, by the way, I'm going to teach you to back up and let faster people run at you. Let's go do that for a while. That's a hard sell. Yeah. So what you got to do is you got to find people that are selfless. They understand, like the linemen are the protectors. We protect the quarterback. We protect the running backs, anyone that has the ball. And there's an idea and a sense of selflessness that goes with that. You know what I mean? Because there ain't nothing in O-line play that's about your ego. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, like let something happen, whether a tackle behind the line of scrimmage or a sack, and it's always who? It's always on the O-line. Right. So the reality of it is, hey, dude, you better put your head down and you better go to work. And the guys that have a lot of success with it are the ones that understand. We have this thing called the train poem that we read, and I'll just read, like, it ain't my place to drive the train, the whistle I can't blow. It ain't my place to shoot off steam. So the reality of it is we do what we do, and we do it to a high level. And you really can't care about who's watching or what other people think. You have to do your job, understanding that if you don't do your job the right way, your responsibility and accountability, somebody's going to get hurt. And that's one of the things when you understand that. And as rough as this, I don't even know that it sounds rough. Like, hey, man, nobody cares how you feel. They care if the job gets done. And I'm not being rude. I'm not being mean when I say that. It's just, dude, the world, the sooner you can figure out, hey, man, I got a job to do and I got to go get it done. And guys that are willing to show up day in, day out, endurance and durability, those are two of the best qualities a lineman can have. You say it at the beginning of training camp. Hey, man, roll your arms. Don't that feel good? Move your neck around. Look up, stand up. That's the best you're going to feel till January. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what it is. So the abilities, right, accountability, responsibility, predictability, right? Like those are the abilities that we take to heart, right? Like I want to make sure that I know what you're going to get from me every time I step into that role. So, and I know that's not like anything about like their foot speed or how fast they run or those. There is an athletic criteria that gets involved, but offensive line play is so much more about the human being you are, right? And the selflessness that you have and understanding that the bigger picture in this thing, man, because I'll tell you, we work. And these kids, I gave them credit that they work and they understand. And the longer we're together, it's starting to, like I was watching I was watching a drill that we were doing in Indy today, and it just came out of my mouth. I said, "Man, I can't wait to see this on Saturday." Meaning, like, hey, you just did something different than you've done it since we've been together. Like, I saw you set your hips the right way and bend the right way, get into that, and I saw it, and I was like, "That this is why we're grinding."
Amen.
And that's why you do the things the way you do them, right? And understanding that this is our standard of play and this is what it's going to be. And then the sooner that they can keep raising their bar every day, because every man has a line, right?
Right.
We all have that line, and like part of our challenges is like, okay, hey, dude, like your line's here and his line's here. That's why you're not playing, right? We've got to develop you on a level to get and then every day, now we've got 5 of them playing. Okay, can we take it there? And then can we take it? And that's what building it's all about. You know what I mean? And but yeah. Endurance and durability. That is those things right there. I don't know. I've said a lot, but those 2 things are really important with offensive linemen. They got to be smart.
Yes, sir.
Because so much stuff happens.
Right.
Right. And like I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I'm a history major, man. You know what I mean? It's a great story. So like you can tell a story if you know history or go to law school. I wasn't going to do that. So so I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but here's what I know. If my coach tells me when I see these things happen, when this alignment looks like this, I can now be over 50-50 on what's getting ready to happen. I'm smart enough to understand I better go, if that makes sense. So that's all part of the challenge too. How, because defensive football is reactive. Right? They see the ball, they recognize a formation, they go react and play. So how do we train our guys to get them to play at the same speed? How do we free their minds? So they have to be smart. And the other thing is, hey, dude, I want your curve going here. Like, I don't want you to worry about, you got to go play.
Right.
Play, be violent. It's a violent game, So, yeah.
Well, Coach, this falls into the category of the easiest interview Sam and I have ever done. Relentless communicator. We see this on the football field as well during practice. A lot of fun to be around offensive line coach Alan Mogridge. Thank you. Good luck against Cincinnati.
Thank you very much.
Stay with us. More to come. The USF Football Radio Show presented by Marathon. Welcome back to USF Football Radio Show. Our coverage begins at 1:30 on Saturday from Nippert Stadium in Cincinnati, the Bulls and the Cincinnati Bearcats. And USF center Brad Cecil joins us. Brad, thanks. I know you had an injury-filled season last year, and you just toughed it out and played through it. Are you feeling healthier this year?
Oh, yes, sir. Well, first off, thank you for having me. But, yeah, last year was definitely battled a few injuries, but this year I'm feeling a lot better, ready to go. We've had some good recovery time, a little off week last week. Still prepared, but got some good recovery time in there. So I'm definitely feeling good this year.
What is it like playing with the running back room that you guys are blessed to play with? I know sometimes you're holding your block and then you just see this little midget right beside you squirt by, right? It's kind of like that's what you guys are dealing with. But you had Concrete last year, Johnny Ford, Kelly Joyner. How is that dynamic blocking for those guys?
I mean, it's awesome. We're blessed with very, very talented running backs. So, just like you said, I'll be blocking someone, and the next thing you know, I see someone fly by me, and I'm holding my finger up, running down the field to the end zone. So, I mean, it's having them is really a blessing. I love what they do. They're all passionate. They all fit well together, and I think that they all play hard, which I couldn't ask for better running backs.
Has your duties changed under the Charlie Weiss offense? Is it dramatically different for an offensive lineman, or is it similar to what you've done in the past?
It's somewhat similar. I mean, my duties have kind of stayed the same as being like the general, kind of just making sure everybody's on the same page, knowing what the front is, what the play is, where the linebackers are, all that kind of stuff. So my job kind of stays the same there. And throughout this, from previous offenses to this offense, our main job is just make sure we're all on the same page, blocking the best we can.
Awesome. I want to ask you, you always hear the term iron sharpens iron, and I know there are some guys that are in the same position room that you know what, hey, this guy makes me better. But who's the guy on the other side of the ball that when he lines up in front of you, you know it's going to be a battle and he's going to help you get better that same day?
I would definitely say Blake Green. He definitely he pushes me to be my best every day. He gives me He gives me great looks. He's quick off the ball. He's powerful. He has good moves. So I mean, it's I couldn't ask for anything more. I mean, I want to go against the best competition so I can be ready for Saturday. So going against him is really prepares me for games.
You have worked with a variety of quarterbacks, including this year.
Yeah.
Is that a challenge in terms of securing the football and snapping it effectively?
To be honest, no, because I have faith in every quarterback that's back there, whether it be or whoever it be from last year, this year, and if they're on a rotation. I mean, every quarterback, I've gotten reps with every single quarterback in practice, so that doesn't really change when we go from practice to the game. I'm prepared. Coach Weiss and Coach Mo and Coach Scott prepare us for any situation, so I'm always ready for whoever it is back there to snap to.
So I'm hearing as hobbies you like weightlifting and listening to music.
Yeah.
I don't know a single offensive lineman that doesn't like weightlifting, but I'd like to know what type of music that you're listening to.
So I like rap music, and I also like country music.
Okay, you got to give us some artists specifically. Give those guys some who you like listening to.
So for country, I like Luke Combs,
Awesome.
John Party, and Morgan Wallen. And then for rap, I like Lil Baby.
Awesome.
Yeah, and Young Boy. I can go both ends of the spectrum.
At least he's not out there jet skiing with Mr. Mango last week. Tell us about playing at Cincinnati. You go back far enough. You've been up there before. It's going to be a little bit different because it's going to be limited fans, but it's not an easy place to go into and play.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I mean, they're a great team. I went there my true freshman year, and it was a great environment. So I mean, it's going there. I remember it was like an 8:00 game, and it was loud. But no, it's a cool experience getting to travel anywhere, but especially to Cincinnati. But I mean, it's exciting as always, but ready to go in and get the job done.
Is traveling different this year with everything going on? This will be your second trip under the new rules.
Yeah, so it's definitely different. They've got like the seating arrangements on the planes are very strategically placed for guys that have already had COVID, or people that they try to spread people out in certain ways. Like there's seats in between people. So it's just kind of finding a way to break everybody up, and yeah.
Now, you're a guy, you played football here in state, not Tampa, but you came out of Jacksonville, Florida. You had opportunities to play elsewhere in the country. What made you choose USF?
Just the opportunity, and just a chance to accomplish something that had never been done. There's never been a conference championship here at this school, and I felt like I could really contribute and help bring that here. I really liked the people who were here at the time, and I really liked where I saw this program was going, and I liked what they had previously done. And so I figured, why not stay in state and play with some of my friends that I played against in high school and with in high school. So.
Well, your O-line coach kind of wowed the crowd here in the prior segment. Tell us about playing for Alan Mogridge.
He's awesome. I love him. He's a great guy. He's a great coach and an even better guy. He every day he emphasizes how much he cares for us and how much he wants for us to not only be the best football player we can be, but be the best man we can be. So he teaches us lessons not only on the field but off the field. Whenever we'll come off the field after practice, and he'll talk for 30 minutes just about how that practice, if we had a bad drill or something like that, he'll take that and he'll find a way to turn it into how it translates to life, and how you can turn adversity into a positive. So I love. I couldn't ask for anything more from him. He's a great coach, and he's really taught us a lot in the little time we've had with him so far.
To be a college ball player in 2020 with all the things that have happened this year, there has to be something that's keeping you sane. How do you get through all the things that's going on, the ups and downs, and stay grounded as a guy who's still trying to get to college but be the best player he can be on the field as well?
Honestly, what keeps me grounded is the guys on the team. They're my best friends. They're my family. They keep my head on straight every day. This year has been rough, just with having to be trapped in the house or trapped in the room. But I mean, the guys. I text and call all the guys on the O-line all the time, and even outside the O-line room, I talk to quarterbacks, running backs, receivers. I talk to all of them. So all of us kind of keep our heads straight, keep each other positive through these times.
Brad Cecil, thanks. Have a great trip this weekend.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Stay with us. Sam and I back to wrap it up after this on the USF Football Radio Network, presented by Marathon. Our thanks to Alan Mogridge and also Brad Cecil for joining us this week. Sam, this is a tough part of the schedule for the Bulls, even with the unexpected week off. It's on the road again. It's a top 20 team again. Cincinnati will be a challenge, and we'll get to see a little bit of a measuring stick of just how far this Bulls team has progressed.
Yeah, Jim, I'd like to agree, but I'll tell you one of the truly special things about doing these shows is you get a small opportunity to see who these guys are off of the field, right? And the reason why that's so important is because when you get in the thick of things, when you got all this adversity standing in front of you, if you lose a game and you miss a week, those personalities, those character traits are what's going to carry this team to the next level. You know, you have an opportunity to hear Coach Mo speak, and you can see what these young men are getting to experience every day, right? Football is more than just what happens on the field. It's the guy that comes to the University of South Florida at the age of 18, gets to experience a coach like Mo and gets to experience things that are going on this season. Now he's going into the workforce, or he's going into the NFL as a mature young man at the age of 23. So those are the things I'm enjoying seeing, and I think with all the things that have happened in this year, I think there's a lot of growth that's going to come for these young men, for these coaches as well.
3:30 kick time Saturday on ESPNU. Join us on the radio side beginning at 1:30 and next week for another edition of this show. Thanks for being with us today on the USF Football Radio Network, presented by Marathon.